Welcome to the Endurance Balance. I'm Coach J.W. McKenna. Joining me are Coach Alicia Phillips and Coach Ann Sharkey. Together, we break down the 80-20 philosophy through the lens of real life. Our goal is simple, to help you fit the training into the chaos. Let's get into today's episode.
We have a special guest this evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Guest. Yes, Alicia, Coach Alicia will be our special guest tonight. Welcome back to the Endurance Balance. I'm Coach JW, and joining me at the table are Coaches Alicia and Ann. You just paid the registration fee, but you aren't supposed to go all out. Today, we're breaking down the physiology, the psychology, and suggesting timelines behind B races. We'll explore why treating a start line as a heavy training day instead of a peak performance protects your chassis, building your engine, and fits perfectly into the chaos of a busy season. Having said that, welcome, Alicia.
Hello.
Just make her go first.
Yeah, we're going to make her go first. A little backstory, just real quick. Alicia ditched us last night. Actually, we were supposed to record last night, and we thought she forgot about us again tonight. So, but here she is, our special
later,
guest.
Here we are. Yes, special guest.
Truly fitting the chaos.
Fitting the chaos into the training.
Are they
training into the chaos?
I thought about going live at the pitch.
Cool.
But that would ruin our audio.
Let's open up the training logs. We'll put Alicia on the spot as she's trying to get all her gear together. What you got going on?
What's going on, Alicia?
Yeah, it's got to be some pretty cool stuff that she forgets about us. My goodness. Coach Ann, you want to go first? This is a train wreck waiting for a train wreck.
I hope you all go to our YouTube channel because there is a headphone technicality. Whoa. Okay, there you go.
You got it? We got it?
Woo.
Oh, there she is.
All right.
Good job.
Hooray. I'll have to figure out if we can overlay some of that cheering sounds.
That was the best. Okay, am I supposed to go, or are we doing? Is Alicia
either one
going?
of you can go. Who wants to go first and tell us what's
Alicia,
going on?
you want to go
the
first?
training
What's
logs?
happening in your life there, Alicia?
Life is lifing. No, it's so good. You know, honestly, I have this prediction. It is August 26th. You guys, my birthday is on Saturday. That's what it is. I'm just getting old.
Happy birthday!
Turning 38.
Sorry.
Good for you. That's amazing.
38.
I remember 38.
38.
I kind of remember 38.
Yeah. Training's good. I had a few athletes. It was weird. We had some like setbacks. And we were playing this like, have you ever done this where you're just trying to figure out why when it rains, it pours kind of thing? It's like boom, boom, boom. I had an athlete, and I'm sure he'll be listening to this, but he got stung by a bee on his ankle. So try running with a swollen ankle. It's going to hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next week he gets stung by a bee from a distance on the opposite ankle, which then he got like a tooth infection, so antibiotics. I mean, it was just like the ripple effect. And then you're just like, maybe we just need to pull back because let's just say our body, just takes stress is stress, right? So, always that reminder, but we're back in. Training is going well on that end. I had some athletes do some, which we'll get into today. It's going to lead us right into it, but like a C race, they did a 10K race, just kind of a little tune-up. They are training for a marathon, so nowhere near really playing around with 10K pace, but it was a really good way to add in a tempo training run and put it into a race where they got to kind of just practice a little bit of race nutrition, waking up, race day nerves and all that stuff. And they actually put on a pretty good race considering they weren't really tapered. It was just a training run. I have another athlete who we've decided not to do a marathon this fall. She did a marathon in the spring, and we kind of made that decision. Maybe 2 is too much. So maybe we'll save that for another topic.
Mhm.
And and I don't know, but I joke because I am not training for a high rocks right now, but a lot of people in my gym are. And I have this just like, it is so nice to not be training, like when you see them in it and stuff. And that same reaction of just like when she decided she was going to defer till next year, that immediate weight of like, so it just tells you of, is the training becoming something you look forward to, or is it becoming another stress? And at this point it was becoming another stress, and it was taking a toll on her body and stuff. So having the conversation, I also had another athlete qualify for Worlds in a sprint triathlon while training for a half Ironman. So it's been super fun on my end of coaching. And then for myself, just picking up on volume of running has been humbling, to say the least. But yeah. And
your athlete that decided to skip the marathon, the second one, was that who came to that conclusion first? Did she, or did you have to have a heart-to-heart?
It was actually her physical therapist asked her the initial question of how married are you to this race? Yeah. And her spring marathon, she's very much, she loves cool temperatures. She thrives in like snow and cold. He is just another beast. And I'm sure, I don't know how anybody in like Texas and Florida and in the southern states, high humidity, can train for these races in the summer. But she had a great training block, and then we did a half marathon, and then it was just life stress. I think, again, our bodies don't really know stress, and she started just feeling some weird, she has a partial tear in her meniscus, nothing that, and she doesn't have any injury, but every now and again, she will get some inflammation in the knee, and it just speaks to her. So it was speaking to her, and we pulled back. We did run walks. We did, we've continued to do strength training, obviously, and just, but once we kind of came up with that, we haven't officially. We're still gonna kind of, it's still August. It's still early. The race isn't until mid-November, but it seems like it's gonna be, we'll look. She already has a race in the spring, like she's picked out. So it sounds like it's kind of a good decision in general. Yeah.
Yeah, it does sound like it. You're talking about the heat and the humidity. I think that is one thing that when you're looking at races, knowing where you are, what the training is going to look like, and then where is the race destination is super important. I remember training for Mesa. I ran the half marathon, but I had my husband and some team members did Mesa Marathon in, was it February, I think, in Mesa, Arizona, but we were training through the winter. And that's equally as hard I don't know if I'd say equally, actually. It's hard too, because you're also dealing with the cold and the blowing, like snowing sideways and the wind chills, and then going to a warmer climate. And then, like you were just saying, here we are, heat and the humidity, and then training for a fall event is also hard. I can't imagine being down here and training for like Wisconsin full Ironman at this point, because it just takes a lot. It takes a lot out of you. And there's nothing wrong with pivoting and choosing a different race based on those things. You got to figure it out and be smart about it.
Yeah, I feel like it's too similar to training at sea level and then doing a race at altitude,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what I would have done had I lived in Florida trying to train for Mackinac Island. I mean, it just would not have worked. Anyway, I digress.
Very cool.
JW, you had a weekend, right?
Yeah, we had
Yes,
another weekend. So this was the 6 week, the third ultra for Jess and some athletes. In 6 weeks, 3 ultras, and she did well. She did very well. I mean, again, considering this is the third ultra in 6 weeks, she pulled out an 11:26 on 55K. So 11
Wow.
hours, 26 minutes.
Wow.
We didn't quite hit goal, but that is absolutely 1000%
Agree.
okay,
Yeah.
right? Like it
It's
was,
amazing.
we were expecting cooler weather. Again, it's the weather is just, I know we have no control over it and everybody likes to talk about it. And we always say, is it in your control and out of your control? But the weather has just been so messed up in general. We were expecting a bit cooler, and it was like, I think we were expecting 24 degrees, which is what was 73, 75 Fahrenheit is what we were expecting, which would have been really nice. We were expecting a little bit of rain, which would have been really nice as well, because that would just kind of, cloud cover for the rain from the sun. But there was still a little bit of smoke in the area. Nothing like there has been, earlier in the season, but it was still noticeable if you're running. So the forest fire smoke had drifted over. It ended up actually being 34 degrees. So that's about 93, 94 Fahrenheit. So it ended up being an absolutely stinking hot day. And the DNF rate was high. There were people that were dropping because of the heat and everything else, right? Like, I was just, one of the gentlemen that I follow, Jonathan, he, it was his first ultra trail race, I think even too. But he put a post up on Instagram. He did the 108 to 108 distance, 108 kilometer distance. And there were more DNFs than there were finishes, right? I think there was 54 DNFs and only 50 finishes on that distance. So, and then, it was kind of cool. I wasn't on the mountain, but there was a really cool thunderstorm that came in too overnight. Probably about 4, I want to say it was about 4 in the morning. About 4 o'clock in the morning. So people going out for those last legs and stuff like that had quite the storm. So, but no, Jess did very well. She ended up getting the buckle, which was very, very cool. So that's her second one now. So we're doing the 3 ultras, and she did make a decision to go for the 4 horsemen. And so
Nice.
that'll be about 3.5 weeks now from now. So it's an extra week to go do that one. So from the Black Spur Ultra, it would be 4 weeks for her to do that. And during the awards on the Sunday, I did find out, I didn't know this, but I guess there's only about 8 of those buckles floating around of the 4 horsemen.
No way.
So it's kind of coveted,
Wow.
kind of little bragging, right? So we're pretty stoked. I'm pretty stoked for it anyways, to get that nailed down. So kudos to Jess.
Congrats, Jess.
And everybody who towed the line. Like I said, there was probably a couple of dozen that ended up finishing the Sinister Triple. And there was a few that I thought were going to get it that ended up not, just because of that heat. So, which is unfortunate.
So let me ask you a quick question.
Yeah.
How does she mentally adjust to, I thought it was going to be cool and now it's hot? Like, that plays a mental game. You have to shift over to, how does she handle that?
She did pretty good. Like, she didn't let it, it's kind of one of those things we keep talking about, especially in our household right now, of in your control or out of your control. And if it's out of your control, why are you going to let it mess with you? Right? Like, don't waste energy on it. So she didn't say much to me about the, like, it's hot, it's throwing my game off. More, it's just like, it's freaking hot out there kind of thing, right? And so what she did though, and as a coach, you're kind of one of those proud moments where she adjusted. She just said, I know we weren't planning for this heat. It's hot. It's getting hotter as the day goes on. So I'm just going to slow it down a bit and realize that I'm letting go of my goal. and readjust. And now it's I'm going to finish and get my buckle instead of trying to meet my goal for this particular race and maybe blowing everything else up. So she did a fantastic job mentally that way of being able to adjust on the fly.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So this is kind of interesting. How did she change? Did she change her fueling? Did she continue to fuel? Like, what was your game plan?
We still she still fueled the same way. Because I know for Death Race she wasn't quite on par. She's a little bit behind, but that ended up, as you know, was a bit of a circus for weather, anyways. So things were a bit cooler, so it wasn't as bad. But she still mixed based on about that 1,000 milligrams of sodium per hour. So, and she was right on par, all the way through for that, for the gelling and for the honey we were using, and then for the electrolytes. So, she didn't necessarily adjust too much for that. She didn't really feel a need to. Like she said, like she's feeling fine, other than it's 34 degrees out. Right. And then just adjusted. So, that was really good. It was really good.
I ask in that, like, I think back on, obviously an ultra and a marathon is totally different. But when I think about when I ran my marathon, I planned to do it in like a 4-hour time. So, and I had enough gels and nutrition to get me through for 4 hours. But what if something happened and it took me 5 hours? I would have ran out of fuel at that 4-hour mark.
Would you run out of fuel, or would you just use the race fueling?
I guess you can always pick up fueling on course, and typically I will take one extra.
Yeah.
We do.
I always pack an extra.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, it sounds like a no-brainer, but I'm sure not everybody does, right? And so it is we do that, right? Like, so it's, I know we do it for sure. Yeah, we do it, right? Like, so we do it with the electrolytes because, as I was mentioning before, like we make up our own, seal them, and then they're the terrible packages, and they're just so small that they take up almost zero space in the pack. So it is bring an extra one just in case. I think, I'm pretty sure that we bring an extra, or she brings an extra gel as well. But yeah, so we, if you're going out for 11 hours, then it's kind of like we have to have 11 gels made, is kind of what we plan for. And this race is so nice, that she actually came into TA, so transition area, 3 times. So the pack was able to be a little lighter, right? So just kind of, I think the first one she planned 3 hours, right? And so she would take 3 gels with her, third one being caffeinated. And even though she came in, let's say in 3.5 hours, she still had that. And then we planned the next one was going to be 4, so that she would have had that 4. So we were pretty much always there with it, right? So, so that's kind of how we planned it. And it worked well, right? So, and she used it all. So, kids did really well, as well. The kids were flying. I think the fastest time, on a 3K course for the kids was like 17 minutes or something.
Wow.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wow.
I want to say 17 or 18 minutes when the first kid came in. He was just flying, like, man, it was crazy. But Bruna actually ended up bringing her best friend with her, Braylin, and because she wanted to, come back and listens to Runa all the time about, what'd you do this weekend? Well, this, and boom, and it just kind of unloads everything on her. And so we said, hey, do you want to come? Because you say you're interested in running. So of course, worked it all out. She came. She beat Runa by 2 seconds, which was funny. So, but I think it was awesome, right? Because Runa's really helping her through and everything. And then Eirik, he actually ended up getting, they have like a equivalent to a Good Sportsman award. It's for a gentleman that had passed away, that used to be in the trail running, with the Sinister Sports, and Braylon actually nominated Eirik for it, because he stopped and helped a kid that was crying, afraid to come down one of the big hills.
Oh, so, that's sweet.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm just like, really, dude? Like, That's awesome. Like, I don't care what place you come in. I mean, like, that's what sportsmanship or what, these endurance sports should be about, right? Like,
Absolutely.
we see some of it, people helping people across finish lines and stuff, but, to see that at such a young age, because for any new listeners that don't know, Iric is 7. So to be doing that at 7, I think is pretty cool. All right.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
but yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. I got, Ricky. He's in TA week 1. So he's got, another, it's called BQ2 race coming up. I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with those in the Boston Marathon world. But it's a series that I think they put on 2 or 3 times. I think it's twice a year. That's specifically designed to get you qualified for Boston. So Ricky's going to be running that, and apparently it's quite the posh style race. Like, it's one of those ones where they cater to you. So like your own water bottles that you supply are like on a table at the aid stations, and kind of like more of a staggered start, so to say. So you don't have big, like, and it's limited. Ricky, correct me if I'm messing up any of the logistics on it, but it's going to be pretty cool. We're pretty stoked, and he is ready. Like, he is super ready. Like, his fitness is up there. He's just feeling great. So I believe we are going sub 3:15 for this. Yeah.
Alicia says thumbs up.
Yeah, no stress now. No stress now, Ricky.
No pressure.
It's out there. It's real. So yeah, I got him. Bringing on, and
what's the BQ time?
I believe you knew you were going to ask that. I believe for him it is like 3:16 or 3:17 or something, or it might be to 3:15. But my way that I like to do this with athletes, and I did it with the last one, Sarita, is that we were saying whatever your cutoff is, you need to be 10 minutes faster than that.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right.
Especially
and that's
Boston,
the window that we're kind of shooting for. So I think that'll probably put him in around 3:05. Right. So pretty quick. But he's so ready. He's got this. And yeah, it's just the 10 minutes just adds a little less stress. Like, now you know your pace. We got a little bit of a buffer room if something happens, and you still kind of make that 3:15. But as anybody knows that has tried qualifying for Boston, they will move the goalpost on you.
Well, then you get to 3:05. You're like, well, let's just go sub 3. Like, there's
What's 5 minutes? Yeah.
Yeah. As a coach, it's like, wow, you got to keep me if you want to go 3, sub 3. Come on.
I know.
So, and then a new athlete we were bringing on for some more ultra stuff will be Alan, and he'll start at the beginning of the month. So that's kind of where we're at with our roster and athletes, and got a few other athletes that are a few weeks out yet, that we can talk about on the next episode that we drop, because I think they're about 4 or 5 weeks out for some races. But those fall races are happening now, I guess. I mean, are we still summer? Are we fall? What is it?
Or summer down here.
I'm predicting, I think I said this earlier, I think we're going to have an early fall. Like, the morning temperatures are already kind of getting a little like, ooh.
Yeah, we were 7 this morning.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
so
my
31 degrees during the day today.
Are the leaves changing yet?
Well, that's what I'm kind of wondering, right? And so it was probably, so we'll call it 48 overnight. And then, it jumps up to, 88. So you're right. Like, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice because you can open the windows in the morning and cool the house off.
I mean, unless you're in Florida and Texas and California, though, you guys are in like some crazy heat wave. So
it was, it felt like 93 one time today when I looked at that was this morning at like, I think like 9:30. I was like, oh, that's why it feels so good out. It's only 93.
Only.
And all our athletes are dying at, Kimberly, BC because it's so hot.
Yeah. It says, well, right now it says it's 8:40 and it says it feels like 93. But I was just outside and it felt amazing. It was beautiful.
Nuts.
Oh.
Nuts. So Alicia, kind of alluded to, A, B, C in races. I mentioned at the beginning. So if you haven't figured out yet by reading show notes or, the title of the episode, we're going to talk about specifically the B race. But I think what we should probably do is explain what an A, B, and C, because each coach, we're going to have something a little different, but basically the foundation of it's going to be about the same. So maybe we'll start with you, Coach Ann. Is that how do you define your A race, B race, and C race to your athletes? And then, once, we'll all kind of go around the table and say what it is, and then we can say like, what are our strategies behind them and stuff. But so how do you define the different races?
Really, it comes down to the athlete kind of comes to me with their first goal race. And it's most of the time it's very predominant, like, hey, I want to do this race with my friend, or I have always wanted to do this one in particular. So they really come to me with their ultimate goal. If we call that their A race, and then we kind of talk through some things that are going on, maybe in the community, like, oh, I heard about this great bike ride. So I'm thinking more like triathlon base. I've got this great bike ride that I heard about, and we'll look at the date and then kind of see where it fits into the training. I've had some athletes that have wanted to do like Ironman in general, and they say, well, I really would love to do a half marathon before I get to like into Ironman training, or in the middle of Ironman training. We'll just kind of look at what's out there, kind of plug it into the calendar. There have been times when I know when I was Ironman training, there was a local race or a local ride that was like an 80-mile ride, but I had 100 miles on the schedule that day. So I got up and rode 20 miles on the trainer in the basement, and then went out and finished the 80 outside. So you do have to get creative sometimes, because if somebody has a goal, an athlete has a goal in mind, and then they are like, oh, but my other friends are doing X, Y, and Z, I would love to do it with them. We really take a look, is it feasible? Does the distance make sense? And then we really look at, okay, are you willing to maybe run 3 miles before you go run that 10K? Are you willing to run that 10K and then run 6 miles later? Or maybe you run to the 10K, run the 10K, and then you run back home. We've done things like that. My big belief is like, you've got to have fun with it. And I'm not here to tell you, no, you can't go train with your friends or race with your friends, right? Like, the ultimate goal is to go have a good time. So if we can keep within reason, there might be there's a little give and take too between an athlete and a coach, where if you're looking for the guidance and you're very adamant, like, no, absolutely, I want to do this, there has to be that big conversation of why it may not be the right choice. That's where you may not be the best friend in the room at that point. So that's how I like do the A and B races. A, they come to me with it. B, we look at like what else is out there, plug it in, see if it makes sense. And then the C race, I don't know that I've really, maybe very rarely have we gone into the C race category. Being in the Midwest, we didn't have a long season for triathlon. So we really had a small gap, and then races would start, maybe in May, and they were done by the beginning of August. So if you were training in those times, you could fit a lot in. But if you were doing a fall marathon or a fall Ironman, you really didn't have a ton to choose from after that beginning of August date. So I have had athletes that have gone on vacation. They're like, hey, I found this 5K in the neighborhood, and if it makes sense, I'm like, go for it. Because it is all about having the fun.
I feel like we should put a poll up. Are you an athlete who likes to race every weekend and sign up for every single race? Or are you the one race a year, big race, this is it kind of thing? And we have to kind of push you into well, let's test the waters a little bit more.
There
So what
is
is like
something to
every
be
race?
said.
Because there was a couple of summers where we were doing 9 events in the course of the summer season.
Oh yeah,
Which-
there was a season in Kansas City that I raced. I did a triathlon. I think it was like 4 or 5 weekends. I think I did 4 or 5 in 4 or 5 weeks. And it was a lot, but I was in that shape and I kept it going and I felt amazing. There was another series where we ran 3 half marathons in 4 weeks. And you would think like, I mean, it does, I'm not going to lie, it does get hard, but by the time you're in that routine, like throwing in that last one was not terrible. Now I don't know that I could do it anymore, but back then I could.
Mhm.
Well, all of us aren't 38 anymore.
Yeah,
you know
that's
that,
the
right?
truth. Yeah. She's like, neither am I. Not yet.
Poor
Coach
kids. come
Alicia,
on.
so how do you go about explaining or programming? Well, I guess explaining, anyways, the A, B, and C races with your athletes.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like some of my athletes, they come to me with their races and then I kind of give them like red light, green light, yellow light. My runners are a lot more easier to schedule. We have race. And then I'll say like 4 weeks before marathon, let's try to get a half marathon in there. As a B race, as a tune-up race, as a, let's check all the race day, similar. But then sometimes there is just, instead of they have a training, like a long 2.5 hour training run, maybe not, yeah. I'm like, let's put a race in there. And like how Anne said, either before or right after, add in those extra miles. So one, you're not going on the same routes. You're kind of getting just a different change of scenery. You're kind of you'll be able to use race day fueling. So you don't have to bring all your water and your fuel. You can, use, and there's just a vibe about race day morning, right?
Mhm.
So to kind of change up your typical training. Now, sometimes that someone would look at that and be like, that sounds terrible because now I got to drive to a course. I got to wake up even earlier. I got to like go to make sure I'm like got everything ready. So there's definitely, that's what I mean. I feel like there's so many different people, but I had an athlete, whose A race was like Ironman Lake Placid. In the spring we did Chattanooga, and that was his kind of B race. A race was Lake Placid. And then he came to me. He's like, well, I want to do North Carolina in the fall if I feel pretty good after this Ironman. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's the C race. Let's see how we feel after this. And in my, yeah, so, and we recovered. We were covering a little bit longer, but like he's back in it and back in his groove. And it's kind of just defined, it's part of him now. And here we are training, and I'm like, I know you probably can't wait for that off season. And so yeah, I definitely, but sometimes though, so I do have a couple athletes that I'm like, this date, this date, this date, this date, or I'll put in their training peaks. Like this would make a really good Olympic distance race if you can find one, or this would be a really good 10K race, or this make a half marathon, but you have 15 miles this day, so we're gonna have to get creative. I encourage it for sure.
So I've heard you both say, you have X number in the calendar and you try to make sure that they get that X number of mileage or volume in the day. So I'm assuming then you both are pretty firm on that. Like if you got 20 miles or 80 miles or whatever it is that you got to do, you still want athletes to do that on a B or C event day? Yes?
I would say ish. Like, I mean, if I have to flip around weekends a little bit, or days on the weekends, that's okay.
Mhm.
I prefer it that way so that we're not getting into like a heavier load on one week and then lessen the load. It depends what the A race is, to be honest.
Right.
There's a much bigger picture to look at than just that specific B race.
Okay.
I don't know if
I'm
that
a
makes
little bit
sense.
surprised. The other way, like the other side of the coin of that one is if they've got the event, so whether if they're training for 70.3, they're training for full Ironman, and they find like a sprint that they want to go do, and then we go in with the whole. Right, like we'll segue into that here shortly, but we go in with a whole bunch of goals for that specific race. I'm okay with the shorter distances and everything for that day for them. Especially like you say, it's so closer to the main event, that we're doing bricks and stuff that day or those weekends potentially anyways. And so instead of just doing a swim bike or a bike run, why not just put all three of them together? And I'm okay with the shorter distances for my runners. If they're training for marathon, they are doing that race, that B event is going to be a half marathon. I'd like to see them do, right? Or even a 10K, but I don't mind that half marathon. So I'm okay if they don't actually nail the volume.
Well, and typically in their warm up, they'll get a mile in, and then in a cool down, they'll get it. And so it's usually a fine line. But if they have like a 20 miler and they want to go run a half marathon, I'm not pushing that. That's not okay with me. Like,
right.
And I think
that's a huge gap. It's one thing to do 15 mile, 13 miles. Another thing if you have 18 miler, or like a 3-hour run and you're a 2-mile half marathoner. That's a whole nother 6 miles or, 10K to add to it. I wouldn't even be, I would say we got to.
Because I'd ask then, what's the goal of it? And for me, when I tell them it's a B race, the goal is, first of all, they have to be willing to walk away. Anything happens, any niggles, I wake up not feeling well or something or whatever, it's like, go ahead and walk away, right? Like that you got to have, and there's so many things that whether the athlete knows, we're testing and we're training them in. So it's the mentality that you're going to be walking away. You're going to go in and I'm going to tell you, like, we're going to agree before, like we say, go ahead and put it in the calendar, is that, this is going to be a zone 2 everything, right? Or maybe, a high zone 4 maybe, or something like that, 5, right? Because or whatever, like whatever we agree, but you're not going full out. And so now we're talking about the mental part of that is that they have to hold back and not care about ego, about placing or anything like that. And then why are they going? For me, it's they're going because they want to kind of artificially get that adrenaline dopamine bump of race day. So I don't care what race it is, you're going to get raised levels, right? And so let them test their morning nutrition, right? So what are they waking up? What are they eating? How are they getting there? The race logistics. You're testing out new gear. You're trying a new bike. You're trying, what TAs, a whole bunch of different things for me. And it's just like, I don't care about the distance necessarily in that, other than you get to do this kind of in a real world, right? And we even kind of get down sometimes for the triathlon portion of it. It's just like, are you racking the bike the night before? You're racking it, the morning of, but going early, setting it up, finding that spot, and then just knowing that you're coming in. Like I had an athlete who wanted to try a rubber bands on the shoes. And we tried it in one of these events and it turned out, no way, that doesn't work very well. Not doing that. Glad that wasn't in an A race kind of thing. So I view them slightly different for what the purpose of them are. And even if I go into a C race, the C race is just, I'm going with friends. Let's have some fun and go have fun, talk, joke around. Who cares what's kind of going on? You're going for the social aspect of it. Or it's a race somebody has done every year before they came on the roster. And it means something to them to be at it every year. Cool. Go do it and go do it. Like, and this is very like zone 1, zone 2 kind of training. And they don't.
I think it depends. Like my athletes did this 10K. They're training for a marathon. They weren't having conversations zone 1, zone 2.
Right, but I'm saying that's a C race.
Absolutely a C race. However, in marathon training, we do threshold training, we do VO2 work. So we replace that race with one of those workouts. Now they just went out and raced. I didn't have like a prescribed workout to follow while they're on the race course.
Yeah.
But I think every single person, when you toe the line, it is hard not to race once you get
It is
there.
hard not to race. I
Yeah.
get it. And that's where I'm thinking some of the mental toughness comes in. And I'll also ask is when you do the B race, are you expecting or not expecting any extra rest days?
So hold on. I want to pivot back to what
Okay.
you had said, JW, about a sprint triathlon if you're training for Ironman. This is where it's going to get spicy.
Yes.
I completely disagree. So because
Say that one more time.
When you're it was JW said that if he has an athlete training for Ironman, that he's okay with a sprint triathlon being put into the mix for in the training. To me, that's if it's early enough in the training, I'll say okay. But to me, you're training two different systems. So you're going fast and hard for a sprint triathlon, but Ironman distance, the goal is long and endurance and steady state. So I am all for like going and having fun, going and doing those things. But when you're training, so you're training two different systems here.
Absolutely. But I'll come back to what's the goal of them doing the race?
But there's also the risk, and it depends where it is. There's the risk of injury at a sprint triathlon that's going to completely derail your A race goal. So now you've invested a lot of money into, I cleaned that up, by the way, so you didn't have to bleep anything out. A lot of money into
that.
Ironman, into hotels, into like registration, all of those things for the caveat of a quick sprint distance that might take you an hour and 15 minutes to do it. And no disrespect absolutely to sprint distance triathletes, because I love a good sprint distance. But you do have maybe a different, you might have some beginners. What's that?
It is a suffer fest.
Yeah, it is. And you may have some like newer athletes there where then you risk like what happens if there's a bike crash. So
right. But I still come back to what's the goal of them doing it? Is it to test, train, or confirm zones? Then the athlete will need to be disciplined to stay within the zones that you guys agree or test out. Like the longest, and I'll go back to trail. So even for a 54K, you get 12 hours to finish it. Would you ever put an athlete through a 12-hour training run on a Saturday for a long run?
No, because you don't need to.
Exactly. Right. You don't need to. The longest I'll do is 3.5, maybe 4 hours, because after that, you're not going to get much more adaptations, but the recovery and fatigue stacking is multiplied. Right. And so that's where I come back is that when I tell them it's a B race, it's like, I expect to, you're going to do it on Saturday. Cool. Sunday's normally your day off. We're back running again normally on the Monday. That would be normally the plan. I don't want you where you went too hard and now you need 1 or 2 days off, because now it defeated the purpose, because you've lost those other days of training because you went too hard in the simulation.
And my athletes don't go into that race tapered. Like if they have a half Ironman and they're training for full, you absolutely don't get a taper going into that. You're going to go in on tired legs. And a lot of times so here's the other part of it too. Like a lot of times those races serve as a good mental boost.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have a really good, you're like, wow, I felt amazing and I wasn't even tapered. I wasn't rested. So that boosts that like mental piece of the game. We're like, now I believe in you. Everything that you're telling me really is true.
Right.
But I'll sometimes give my athletes the night before, like Friday rest day, but then I'll make them say the race is Saturday then, but they're also doing something on Sunday. So then they're stacking 2 hard days. But they're also doing typically it would be like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is still training rest day is typically their Friday rest day, and then Saturday just happens to be their race. So they're still on tired legs. One day rest day is not enough. That's not
That's
tapered.
interesting because I will purposely not book a hard day before their long run. It's just a foundation. So for an example, if they're going out to do a 4-hour long run, they will have an hour to 2-hour foundation run on the Friday if they're going out on Saturday to do the long run, right? And then the hard day would have been on Thursday, like a fartlek or intervals or something, right? Hills.
So are we back to the it depends?
Well, I think it does, but
I
I'll
feel like
always
that's
say
where we are.
it does
Yeah.
really depend a lot on what the goal of scheduling that race is for.
It also depends on the athlete on so many levels. It depends on, are they a newer athlete? Are they a more seasoned athlete? Have we worked together and I know you can take the load? Do I have access to your past training peaks where I can see if you're a newer athlete to me, like, can I go back and see your history of how you've done? Can I make you pinky swear up and down that you'll stay in zone 2 and then be able to be recovered and go home and eat and recover and all of those things so that you can be fresh? Because if you can't promise me that, then we have to pivot and come back to what is your A race? What is the ultimate goal? We have had conversations too where we might have a B race planned, but when it's coming up to it, maybe they're not ready, or maybe there's there's a lot of fatigue. And we can have that conversation too about, what do you think about backing out of this one? And a lot of times they'll see it too. Then they'll say, I think you're right. I'm going to go on with my normal training ride or my normal training run for that day and not do the planned B race. And sometimes that means eating an entry fee. I think that's also a little bit hard for some people to swallow if you've paid the entry fee.
No,
they
for
want to
sure,
just go
right?
do it,
And
right?
I think, again, these are hard conversations that we have with our athletes. And for me, again, it's about testing gears, about testing logistics. But a big one is the fueling and hydration, because on a 70.3, so a big distance like that, it's for most of them, I say if we can do that about 6 weeks out from the main event. If you can have that B race is about 6 weeks out. It's a little different, like 2 to 3 weeks, let's say 5-10K sprint. You can do those because, again, there's not as much fatigue that comes with those. There's fatigue absolutely for the athlete, never going to diminish it, but the fatigue is different in volume compared to like going out and do the 70.3 or full Ironman. So, I mean, I would even probably say, could be even 6 to 8 weeks for a full Ironman is where I'd like to see that simulation. And maybe they go do the half Ironman 6 to 8 weeks out before they go do the full Ironman. But again, I don't want them, they can't go flat out. They can't go any more than, like, what's that all day pace I can go at? Like, I still have to get up and train in 2 days kind of thing, right? Now, if they're doing a 70.3, I may give them a really super light workout on the Monday if they're doing it on the Saturday kind of thing. But I think you're absolutely right, is that it's going to, I got to be able to trust the athlete when we agree on what the paces are. And I got to give them, and I give them all the why and why we're doing it. And when we were doing our intros, it was interesting because it just popped in my head that I'm actually quite surprised that when an athlete comes and says, "Hey," it's like, okay, I was thinking, is it okay? And you're like, okay, what race do you want to do? Right. And they go, I want to do this race. And what do you think? And I go, short answer, yes, but let's talk about it, right? And then we talk about what we expect and the expectations, why they want to do it, and kind of what the goals are. So, but it's really, I think it has to be, for me as a coach, it's going to be more. I got to really emphasize we're not going flat out. We're not stacking fatigue or anything else onto it. And it's absolutely like they have to, like the first thing they have to agree to is they are willing to walk away even during or morning of that event if something's not right, because it's not the main event. Alicia.
What are your guys's, I guess, and this is a very much, it depends, but how many A races can you have a year? And how many?
depends.
I mean, because I'm like, I feel like a lot of my athletes typically will have 2 A races, but we'll have like maybe 6 B races, and then it's a C. So it doesn't have to be A, B, C. It could be A, B, 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 C.
Yep.
Like, so.
And you want to go
I-
first? Because I've actually got a really good example of that, and it's going to be Jess, right? So
Yeah, I was going to say
Yeah.
Jess is a really good example.
Oh, there she is. Yeah, you're
I
there.
don't know what's happening.
You're here.
I think that for me, it would be like early season, late season, but it depends on the distance.
The distance, for sure.
So did my
And
computer just get
the-
wacky?
Athletic.
No, you're
like
good.
you look at some Olympic athletes or,
Right.
you know, collegiate
I
athletes.
think-
They're racing typically every weekend, you know, high school athletes, even kids.
Well, yeah, but a
Um,
20-year-old bounces back a little better than we do.
So
Even if we are only 38.
yeah, my demographic,
They're also
I-
partying and drinking.
yeah, my
Not sleeping.
demographic is like
Yeah.
it takes us longer to recover. That's no lie. But I think usually if again, like I go back to the shorter season in the Midwest that we had just really one chance for an A race. If we wanted to keep it kind of local. And also like a lot of times if you wanted to throw in another A race, you were traveling and you were traveling for both. So not a lot of people could do logistically wise, they couldn't do both. So down here, our season's definitely longer. We definitely have more options out there. So here, I would say you could safely do. You could easily do 2 A races just because of the year-round training and the temperatures and the availability too. I think too there are a lot of times with the availability just may not allow for 2 A races. So my final answer, 2.
And as this, young buck, I think too as well.
I don't know. I think some of these young kids could probably even do 3. But again, yeah, you're right. It depends. It depends on how long your season is. Are you
I
going to
think
do?
cyclists recover faster, and it's obviously less impact compared to a runner.
Well, it's a different impact for sure, right? So
Yeah.
I tend to agree. Cycling is a little easier to recover from. But I mean, if you can get an A race, and again, your season permits it, and you really want to kind of get 3 in, I mean, you could probably do one very early spring, right? Midsummer and a late fall or something. You could, but with just completing the 3 ultras within 6 weeks, so the underlying goal would be, it would be nice to PB all of them, right? But that's pushing pretty hard in all of them, right? And so what we tend to do when you got 3 races that close, I will go on the premise of let's make the first one the A race. Okay, because we can't, we all would love to think we got the magic crystal ball and we can see into the future and know what's going to happen. But I mean, 2 years ago, she had to drop mid race because during the week prior, she was at Costco and put her back out. Right, like just lifting stuff in and out of the van. So it can happen. We all know that as coaches, that anything, it's like I sneezed and I threw my back out. Like, this is so stupid. I got a race in 3 weeks, or, whatever the excuse is. So I like to say, let's make that first one the A race and lay it out there. We can manage the fatigue and everything else for the next 2, and we can set up some paces. And a lot of these races do give you some pretty good time to finish. And again, we'll come down to what was the goal. The goal for a triple was to get the buckle. Right. And so when you got to look at the beginning of that, is that all I got to do is finish and get a time, right, for all 3, and I get the buckle. So let's make the first one the A, and we can make the other ones B. I think that's a pretty solid. And then again, with the choice that she made, like we talked about when it's hotter, when she went out for like 3, and then just pulling back on the throttle, that will actually help us prepare her for Castle Alpine in 4 weeks after that race. So ultimately doing 4 ultras in 10 weeks.
Wow.
Kind of, like so that's kind of how I would look at how many can you do. I would say most of us could probably do 2, but again, it depends on what you're doing. So this one, it's hard, I think, to say all 3 or 2 could be A races because everything is so close together, right? Like we're basically doing a recovery week of a lot of walking and foam rolling and stretching and mobility work and everything else until about the Friday. Maybe go for a 30-minute foundation run, start kind of another peak week, if you kind of want to call it, but still the long run's only 2 or 3 hours. I think I did 2 hours on that when there's only 3 weeks in between. And then we go into a taper week again.
Did you guys see, hold on, I pulled up the article because I think I had to Google it. Let me see if I lost it. Did you see where there was an ultra runner that, Jeff Browning, did you read this today?
No, not yet.
He had, he's in a coma after a heart attack, while running the TDS race in Chamois, France. He's only, I think he's,
the ultra in Chamois.
yeah, he's only like in his 50s.
Oh wow.
But also, he suffered severe hyponatremia during an ultra marathon in Nope, that's somebody else. Never
I was
mind.
going to say that's
Heart attack
too much
around
water,
mile.
not enough salt, or too much salt, bringing in too much water.
He that was not him. He has suspected heart attack around mile 80. So I saw that this morning and I wanted to, say something tonight. I don't know why I felt like I needed to say something, but I did. But it's crazy. It's pay attention, right?
You have to.
No.
We had somebody who was one of the DNFs from the weekend was heat stroke.
Yeah.
Right, and that's no fool
Have
right there.
you
Like,
guys ever had heat exhaustion from a race?
heat exhaustion?
I have not. I've heard of people having like, crazy sights and delusional and
yeah. Like I say, this person was like taken away with heat stroke. Like the person was pretty bad. Like, and it was one of those ones where don't sit down on the mountain because then search and rescue will be slinging in to come and get you. Like you need to keep moving down, and we'll kind of take care of you and ice pack and everything else. It wasn't me. Big shout out to Carrie that helped that person, but
I had it. God.
No, I was just going to say it. I bet, as a first responder, I've seen so many people in all stages, heat stroke, heat exhaustion. I've never been per se on a race that I'm really aware of is heat exhausted. But I have been heat saturated, in the fire service when, as a training officer, when you're in the burn tower all weekend. And I know what that feels like. So that's pretty sad. Like, not sad, but it's just like, ugh.
I'm always curious, and this is where my brain goes, but you hear about those deaths at races more and more and more lately, it seems like. How many do we think happen in a training run and that we just it doesn't ever make the news because they were simply training? So,
Correct,
just don't be dumb. Don't.
It's
right?
okay to.
I always remind. I'm like, it's okay to walk. I feel like some people have that ego of like, I have a 2-hour run. I got to run for 2 hours. I'm like, no, you really don't.
You can also take some of those runs inside to the treadmill. There's
Absolutely.
nothing wrong with breaking them up. And this is maybe a good poll question too. Like, what is the longest that you've ever run on a treadmill? My
4
longest
hours.
run on a treadmill was 17 miles.
4 hours.
And I don't remember how many hours that was, but it was Ironman training. And if you've got to get the mileage in, you've got to get it done, whether it's like storming and lightning outside and that's what you just have to go to. It's how bad do you want it? You figure it out. I had heat exhaustion at Half Ironman in Wisconsin. And it was one of those things that, I don't know, maybe I'm a little bit different. When I'm racing, I'm in a different headspace. I know it's hot and I'm aware that it's hot, but I don't I'm not aware enough until I'm done. And I'm like, oh my God, that was hot. Which I think is really a saving grace for me in a lot of ways. It's just like the cold water Mackinac Island. I was aware that it was cold, but I didn't know how cold it was until a few hours afterwards. So I think for me, that's kind of maybe a mental like saving grace, if you will. But Wisconsin Half Ironman, it was well over 100 with the heat index, and I walked most of the half marathon at the end. And then coming around the backside of the lake, there was just no shade at all. People were out with their garden hoses, hosing people down. And I didn't realize it until I finished. And I went to the tent to just get into some shade. And I was standing there, I was getting ready to get food. And my husband was with me. And I'm like, I'm going to throw up. And I can't do it here while everyone's eating. So we left the tent and then hightailed it up to the med tent. And they had so many people that were also had heat exhaustion that they offered me some ice and a wet towel. I felt a little bit better, got something to eat, drove back to the hotel. And then I started throwing up in the parking lot. And it took it out of me for a couple of days. But then we went back and raced the next weekend. So it's just, again, goes back to
Ego.
go back to recover well.
Well, and that's one of the things I know we're kind of at about that hour already, but ego. I think when we start talking about B and C events, we have to be, and coaches, we got to really kind of drive it home to our athletes that leave the ego at the door. I mean, everybody's there racing for a different goal. And your goal is whatever we decided. So gear checks, pace checks, whatever it is, or logistics. And also, I have this kind of talk with my athletes as well, is that when we're doing the B race, and this kind of goes back to, do I want the shorter distances than, let's say, the big distance or the bigger distances for races? Sometimes yes, because then, and we talked about it under episodes, the CNS reset. The central nervous system. A race is a race. You're still going to spike. You're still going to bring all those levels up. But if you're not, we go in thinking, yes, it's just a training run, right? I'm not here to podium. I'm not here to beat Joe next to me or whatever at the line. I'm here because I need to make sure I got everything dialed in for the big race. And if we have some of these shorters, or we have our athletes go in with the right mindset, I think we can keep that fight or flight style of a CNS spike minimized, and then therefore they're not taking those extra rest days, and they can get back on, because we all know muscles will always come back faster, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like even after an Ironman, they're probably like, oh, I could, by Thursday, Friday, they're probably, oh, I can go for a run. Let's go for a run, and you're like, no.
And so, how many
No.
athletes have you trained that defied what you told them, went out and raced it, and then couldn't make their 3, 4? Had to skip some training days the week after because they...
Surprisingly, not too many, but it has
Either
happened.
that or they're really scared to tell me.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
but Training Peaks will tell all, right?
Yeah.
Or if they're going, yeah, I don't know what happened to my watch on the run.
Well, and then you have
Yeah.
to account for like a travel day because they, went
Yes.
to that B race too. So there's always
Yep.
things
Yep.
to always have to keep in mind. I mean, life is
Yeah.
life, right?
No, exactly.
yeah.
Are you two also about that? Most races, if you're going to plan a B event, is about that 6 weeks out from the main event.
4 to 6.
4 to 6,
4 to
depending
8.
on the distance.
Yeah.
I would say 6 to 8, depending on the distance. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean 70.3 in an Ironman, definitely. I think you want to be probably closer to that 8. At least I think for the full Ironman distance, maybe you can do 6 for the 70.3.
70.3, you're typically putting him into an Olympic. An Olympic,
Yeah.
you're putting him into a like a sprint. It's
Sprint,
always like
yeah.
that one under kind of.
Mhm.
You will.
But if
recover
you're
it.
marathon training, I don't recommend, and this is going to sound really crappy, like I don't recommend like wasting your time or wasting a training day on a 5K.
No,
Because-
that's no.
I would say-
I agree, right?
Yeah.
So I have an athlete doing that, and we moved his long run to a Tuesday, and his threshold, like us, VO2 day
There
to
you go.
Saturday, and that's how he's
Yep.
doing his 5K. But he did his long run a couple days before, so how
Okay.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
that. That was a good pivot. Yeah.
And so if his long run was normally, so if I was thinking, if the athlete's long
He's
run,
also
so he's doing a
retired,
5K,
so he can do that. Most people
can
don't
do
have
it.
it.
Yeah.
but I might just have him still do the Saturday race and then still do your long run on the following day, if it's a 5K, and then give the Monday off or
Right.
something. Kind of what I'm thinking. And then you can train on, because there is some benefits to training on tired legs. We all know that, right? Like, I think a lot of it's mental. You get probably more mental out of it than anything when you're doing those kind of training runs. But yeah. Anything else you kind of wanted to add? I mean, like, I could probably kind of keep going, but it's I think there's a big importance is the goal. What's the purpose of the goal? There has to be discipline on the athlete and things that we agree upon. And, again, I'll come back to some of my athletes and just say, like, your A race, this is the most important. This is why it was most important. So when you're out there, even if you're feeling great, this is the pace that we agreed on before you went into the race. Keep it. So,
yeah. And I think also too, is the fun aspect. And I always have
Yes.
to remind my athletes, because so much can happen on race day, that what if their A race just completely falls apart? Well, at least you showed up in that B race and like you did really well, and like you showed up for how you were going to be. So you can't just say that training plan was worthless. You're fired. It's not,
yeah.
and I'll always, like, it's never about the race. It's always about the training. That's how it is for me. Most of my athletes, I mean, obviously winning, finishing, PRing, all those things are amazing, but so much can happen on race day. The weather, the wind, the taper, tantrums, all those things.
Here's a surprise question then for you both. How many times, let's say, we'll call it a 70.3. How many times do you think an athlete realistically will PR a 70.3 in their career? So how many times do you think they will have a best 70.3 time?
Well, I think if they're new in it, they're going to probably PR every time. If they've been doing it for years, I think it requires on the course, if you're doing Mount Tremblant versus Arizona, or Jacksonville, is it a PR course?
I have a really hard time with PRs at that distance, because the course, most likely, it's a different course. It's also like any race. It's a different day. It's different weather. It's all of those things combined. So I prefer to have, so I guess my quickest answer would be 2 to 3.
Okay.
2 to 3 PRs. But I'm also a big believer in having a PR in your age group, or a PR on this course, because every course is different in triathlon for Ironman, like distance or half Ironman distance. But I am now in a different age group that, well, obviously than I've ever been in, but I like to set new PRs for that age group, because things are not the same. You can't compare
that's totally
30-year-old
true, right?
me, right? Yeah,
you
I
did
can't compare
say
30.
That specific race. And so, like, when I say Jess had a goal time, that goal, or any time when I'm talking with athletes, is like, this is, every race can't be a PR. Like, we can't go, I don't think, we want to go in and we want to do well. Absolutely, we want to do well. But,
and the course can change from year to year.
Yes.
And then you can't,
that's how lead right? And even the athlete's readiness for that race can change year to year, can change that morning year to year, right? And so, that's why I had this chat with the kids on the weekend, is, explaining to Braylon, I don't say good luck to athletes. We leave nothing to luck. There's nothing about a fluke showing up on race day. You will have the race that you trained for, right? Barring any, injuries or sickness or whatever. But you can only expect to get out of the race what you put into the training for that race. And really, to me, the race again is all about just validating the training that you did and saying, I trained for 22 weeks to do this race. You will have, and I always say, we don't say good luck. Luck is for to be unprepared, right? You go in prepared, you will have the best race the course will give you that day, right? So again, is it rain? Is it hail? Is it snow? But it's going to be the same for everybody, right? So I want athletes to do absolutely the best that they can, but it's going to be different time to time, course to course. And I think there's too much negativity on the mind and hit to the mindset that if you're going to want to PR everyone and you don't, because you may only have, let's say, I'll even say 5 or 6 in your career, because it might be 1 or 2 on a course. And let's say if you do a lot of courses, right? So for just 4 courses and the signature races as we do as a family, really so it's taken 4 years to PB on the death race, we'll say. That's a big kind of span out there. So, yeah.
I like to measure not really a personal best, but the reality is everyone's going to be looking at their time. But what
Sure.
is, and I feel like this could we're way over, and I feel like this could be a different topic, but we could easily talk about what is success on race day.
Yeah.
That's a whole different topic of it's not time. I don't love my athletes to focus on a time.
No.
Unless they're BQ or something where you have to.
Yeah.
But what is success? Did you nail your nutrition? Did you keep all of the negative thoughts out of your mind? Did you deal with the heat successfully?
Yeah. A well-executed plan.
Yes.
You went in with a plan and you executed it well, and you finished the race with a smile going, that was awesome. Yeah. To me, that's always over a PB, really, at the end of the day. And I tell athletes that in the onboarding is that I don't want you finishing any distance or race or style of event that you're doing and go, holy crap, I survived that. I want you, it has to be tough, but I want you to go, that was awesome. I want to do that again. That was just really cool. Right. And I was ready for it. And you might walk a little funny the next day, but you're still feeling good. And to me, that is success. And I agree. We could probably talk about a whole bunch of different benchmarks on that one. But quickly, Alicia, and then we'll sign off. What's your success? Really, your probably your priority of a success for an athlete?
Yeah, I'll jump on that. I agree. I think it's one of those things I feel like everyone will always ask you, well, what was your time? What was your time? And it's well, one, it is very relative. Was the course downhill? Unless it's a BQ, the time isn't necessary. But especially in high rocks, everyone's because technically the course is the same exact, so it should be the same exact experience. But it should be, how did you feel finishing that race? Did you say you left it all out there? Did you execute your nutrition? Did you feel good out there? Are you still able to continue? Or did it take you out? Did it, how do you feel the week after the race? 100%. Yeah, for sure. Cool. So let's end on that. I like that. I feel like we were going down and I'm ooh, let's go up.
No, exactly. So any final comments?
Nope.
All good. So your B race is ultimately, I refer to them as the rehearsal. It's the dress rehearsal for what you're about to do for your A race or the big show. So don't waste it on ego. Use it for your data and protect that A race that you're training for. Look at your calendar, identify one long run in your current block that you can swap out for, let's say, a local 10K, half marathon, right? Or a shorter distance triathlon, and then run it strictly as a B race and practice your fueling, holding your zone 2 pace, letting go of ego. Drop a comment. Tell us what race you were going to use as your rehearsal. Have you done rehearsals? I like the idea of putting up a poll. So we'll talk about that after what we want to ask for questions. So kind of check that out in the comments or on the Spotify lets us put the poll up there so we can check that out. I'm Coach JW. Protect the A race, fit the training into the chaos, and see you on the trails.
You're amazing.
R.I.P. Dolly.
That's a wrap for this week on the Endurance Balance. If you enjoyed the conversation, do us a huge favor. Hit that follow or subscribe button on your podcast app right now. It's the best way to support the show. And hey, we want to see your chaos. So come find us on Instagram at The Endurance Balance and drop us a DM. For Coach Alicia and Coach Ann, I'm Coach JW. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the trails.